Hello, and welcome to another edition of Good Deeds. It is brought to you by and powered by justserve.org. If you are looking for organizations to volunteer with, to donate to, organizations that are making a difference in our community, justserve.org is a wonderful place to start. And speaking of making a difference in our community, there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of years, especially about mental health. And mental health services have been strained. People's mental health has been strained like never before because of the pandemic, and a different path is making a difference in the mental health of people here in the Sacramento area. Welcome, Ms. Aisha. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about a different path.
Thank you so much for having me, Miss Sheryl. It's a pleasure.
I maybe I'll start off with asking what a different path does and how it's helping folks here in Sacramento.
So, A Different Path is a nonprofit that was developed back in 2019. We opened our doors here in South Sac in 2019, and then that was pre-COVID. COVID hit, had to shut the doors down, transitioned a lot of the platform over to telehealth, which was a huge difference for us in the healthcare world because we were so used to doing things in person. But A Different Path's focus is on education and awareness. Our whole goal is to try to change someone's perspective of how how they view their traumas, how to see the things that they have experienced, and know that it's their life, their choice, and they have the right to choose and narrate their own story. Mental health is something that is common, but it's not something that we talk about often. And so, hopefully, in educating and awareing people to mental health, they'll become more comfortable with choosing themselves and choosing their mental health for themselves.
Yeah. Now, has the pandemic caused new mental health stressors, or is the stress of the pandemic bringing things to the surface that maybe have needed to be dealt with for a long time in people?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think what happened was the pandemic definitely brought on stressors. We lost a lot of loved ones in the pandemic. It was a lot of isolation, a lot of depression, a lot of suicide, a lot of domestic violence, a lot of abuse began to incline during the pandemic. But also, what happened is people didn't have the distractors. They didn't have the day to day norms of going to work, dropping their kids off at school, stopping at the grocery store, going to get their hair done, going to the barbershop, watching a game. They didn't have these day to day norms that would distract them. And so here we are in this isolated time at home, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with our kids, with our loved ones that we don't normally see for 8 to 10 hours a day. And now I'm finding out I don't really like some of the things about you, and I don't really like some of the things about myself. Right. And so
Right.
there was this influx, this curve that we saw, especially in depression, and intimate partnership violence, especially in abuse of kids, especially in the suicide rate. And
Mm.
so, us as mental health providers began to try to minimize the impact that people were experiencing during COVID. But then, as we started coming out of COVID, the givers were getting tired. And
Mm.
so the healers now needed time for healing. And so we were looking for places and safe spaces to go to try to get ourselves together. And now that the world is kind of coming back to this norm, we're still seeing an incline because
Yeah.
now we're adapting back to this new normalization of things that is not what is normalized anymore.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
what are some of the services that is offered by a different path, and who is the typical person that you're helping?
So the typical person that we really try to focus on is our low income, underserved, marginalized communities. Those that is the population that has the stigma on mental health, me myself included. We were taught to hold, we were not taught to discuss, we were not taught that our feelings were valid. Most of us that experienced childhood traumas, we were taught that our feelings or our voice is not to be heard, and so we suppress and we isolate, and that comes out later in life. High blood pressure, diabetes, stroke, and all of these different things, headaches, migraines, and so forth. We do non psychotherapy, which is life coaching for someone that wants more of a holistic wraparound approach. And then we do psychotherapy, which is about the mental health and doing just SALT or narrative therapy or cognitive behavior therapy, which is more along the line of diagnosing. So your depression, your panic attacks, or anxiety attacks and things of that nature. That is what psychotherapy is about. Non-psychotherapy is like, let's talk about your whole life. If you want to go back to school, how to get your credit back on track, how to increase your communication skills. That's life coaching. And so we offer both of those along with direct services, along with trainings, supervised visit, parenting classes, anger management. Youth receive services for free. There is no fee for any of our youth, and our adult fees are discounted prices.
That's fantastic. And if
Yeah.
people want to get more information, they can, of course, go to a differentpath.info if they're
Yes.
interested in your services. You were in the news recently because you were offering free mental health for the month of March, and those appointments filled up fast, which shows there's a great need for your service in our community.
Yes, not only did they fill up fast, those people that were able to get an appointment still submitted a form. So we have a wait list of almost 75 people. And the goal is to get all of those people in. And we're working due diligently, I'm saying that wrong, all word right now. We are working effectively. Let me change my vocabulary then. Effectively to get that done. So we're doing hard calls, we're doing emails, because we want to make sure we reach out to everyone. I am personally jumping on every call and saying hi to everyone who has signed up so they personally see me and see my face and know that I am real and I exist and this is true. So that has been awesome to see their light shine when I jump on. They're like, oh my God, there she is. And more so because I want people to know that I'm reachable. Just because this is my agency and this is a program that I created, that I'm not that busy that I can't jump on and still do my part in the community as well.
That's
It's kind of
amazing
where
and
I
a
am.
much needed service here in the
Yeah.
Sacramento area. Folks can keep up to date with all the latest updates on A Different Path. You got a Facebook page,
Yes.
facebook.com/a-different-path.info. And as far as the community supporting you, what could you really use help with? How can we as the community best support what A Different Path is doing here in the Sacramento area?
You want to know what's the craziest thing is we do this with no funding.
Wow.
Everyone in here works an 8 hour a day and then comes in here and works another 8 to 10 hours a day. So we have been doing this since 2005. And people are like, I'm sorry, you don't get a paycheck. And it's like, no, this is my baby. I birthed her and this is what we're doing. Honest to heavens, I would love to increase my funding so that I can increase my staff capacity so that they are more valued and validated for the work that they do. I myself am not worried about a salary. I'm really not. But I definitely want to make sure that my staff is taken care of and that I'm able to give them the self-care that they need so they can continue to keep pouring back into the community the way that we do. Because I'm telling you, seeing 8 people back to back, you get tired.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get tired, and we pour in a lot. It's mentally, it's physically, it's emotionally, it's spiritually draining, and that's not a complaint. That's just the energy that we have to give when we're on there because we care that much. So for me, I would love if the community could show some of that support by donating supplies like Pampers, because we do Pampers for teenage moms. We support that. We do oral hygiene for the babies. We do toys every Christmas. We do Thanksgiving drives every Thanksgiving. We ramp up for Easter, so we work with our collaboratives in the community as well to support all of that. Shriners is a huge supporter of us, and we work with Shriners. We work with Sac City, so most of our youth comes from Sac City as well. So that's one of the things that I would ask is that get the word out. If you know someone that's experiencing mental health, let them know that we're here, we're available. We want to support your needs. It's a safe space. No pass, no judgment.
It's fantastic. Thank you
Yeah,
so much
you're
for being
welcome.
on Good Deeds. And thank you for the amazing work that you're doing to help people in our community.
Oh, thank you so much for your time and your energy. Thank you all to the community for supporting us. Thank you all for you guys who signed up for choosing yourself. It's important to always choose yourself. And remember, it's your life, it's your choice. You get to narrate the story.